Hi, I'm Peter Tufano, and welcome to International Women's Day. Last year, amid the gloom and the loss of this global pandemic, we actually celebrated a century, 100 years of an important achievement here at Oxford. In October 1920, women were admitted to full membership of this university. It's less well known that this progress was followed just 7 years later by a reversal. Oxford then limited the number of women who could study at the university to no more than 840, about a sixth of the undergraduate body. This quota was not scrapped until 1957. Sadly, there were steps forward and then steps back. Looking back, it seems unimaginable. Why? Because we know that the returns on education are immense for boys and girls. The research on this has been so clear. Globally, education transforms a girl's life and earning potential and widens her life choices. When it comes to education, there have been battles. Some have been won, some have been lost. But for now, there are some wins that I'd like to at least us to acknowledge. In 2019, for the first time, women made up more than half the undergraduates at this university. This year's MBA cohort counts 47% women in the class, ahead of every business school, major business school in Europe outside the United States and outside the United States. Around the world, there are now more young women than young men at universities. But like the situation in 1920, we can't take these gains for granted. Why? Well, women still have not taken their place at the forefront of business and political life. Female CEOs remain rare. As we know, female board members still remain rare, and the pace of change here has been slow or glacial. Women make up more than a quarter of the new US Congress and over a third of the members of parliament in the current House of Commons. Both these figures are at all-time highs, but yet this is still far from equal representation. And COVID-19 threatens to unravel this fragile process and these gains. The pandemic has disproportionately hit sectors that employ many women, such as retail. And as schools and childcare facilities have closed, mothers have often shouldered a heavier burden than fathers in terms of taking care of their children. And so here on International Women's Day on March 8th, it's a global celebration of the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. For us at the school, it's a reminder of the vital role that education plays in changing the world for better. And it's a reminder that we too have more to do. This year's official theme is Choose to Challenge. Here at Said, we have much to be proud of in terms of our dedicated programs and student scholarships that support women in their career ambitions and determination to succeed. A special shout out to the Laidlaw scholarships, which we just received this year, which allow a number of women to study in our MBA program. Thank you so much to the Laidlaw Foundation and to others who have funded scholarships for women around the world who can come to Oxford. So while we're continuously working to increase female representation across our programs and our faculty, we're doing that while we're delivering inclusive programming and careers content to support women who come through our doors. At the same time, we're an intensive research institution, and many of our academics are undertaking research on the impact, requirements, and differences that gender traits have on leadership and business. This includes Professor Renee Adams, whose work on gender diversity on and off boards helps us understanding the role of gender in leadership. And her work in the art market shows how even something as tangible as a piece of art can be gendered. Kate Blackman, who's studying how gender and diversity is managed by organizations. Sue Dobson, the academic director of Women Transforming Leadership, her recent work involves exploring issues faced by women on their leadership journey. Mahima Mitra, a research fellow in equality and diversity in higher education, is investigating the attitudes, training, and support that promotes a diverse research community at Oxford. Mary Johnston-Louis at the Ownership Project at Oxford Said, and international research fellow Alessandro Bonafino are looking at the role of women in family businesses. Joanna Probert, who's the Jane G. Sun Career Development Fellow in Women's Leadership, is examining how women reach the top of their organizations, what makes them effective once they get there. And a recent book by Catherine Bishop, one of our associate fellows, draws on the learning that we have from our Women Transforming Leadership program to really understand what it's going to take for women to succeed. Other recent initiatives include the establishment of a professional women's network, are identifying diversity, equality, and inclusion as an important task of our senior leadership team, including appointing Rhonda Hottie, Associate Professor Rhonda Hottie, as Associate Dean to help chart our journey. However, I'd be the first to admit that no matter how much I can list accomplishments and how much we can brag, there is so much more work that we have to do. Over the next days, we'll be showcasing different facets of our school's mission and purpose that directly link to the objectives of International Women's Day and to the theme, Choose to Challenge. Today, for example, Rachel Botsman and Eleanor Murray are participating in a breakfast briefing discussing career paths. This afternoon, please join the Vice Chancellor, Professor Louise Richardson, and Professor Sarah Gilbert, Professor of Vaccinology, along with Professor Andra Pfeffen, Pro-Vice Chancellor for People and Gardens, Libraries, and Museums, GLAM in Oxford Speak, and Professor Mary Daly, Professor of Sociology and Social Policy, as they discuss gender representation in Oxford and how at higher pay grades, women are still outnumbered. Later this week, I'll be discussing the important role that men can play in accelerating change with Amy Major and the Women's Leadership Alliance at the Town Hall. Please visit Atrium, where you can find out much more. Finally, we can all choose to challenge and call out gender bias and inequality. We can all choose to promote and support women's achievements. Collective, we can all help to create an inclusive world. From challenge comes change. So let's all choose to challenge. Thank you.